This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University. We certainly have Bitcoin liftoff this morning, and everyone who's been saying that Bitcoin has no value, with Bitcoin now being valued over 1.4 trillion US dollars, millions of people all around the world hodling it, having multiple ETFs devoted to it that have received tens and tens of billions of dollars over the past couple months. Also, Bitcoin has now been around for 15 years. It has this global brand recognition. Anyone from the age of 2 to the age of 82 knows what it is today. So I'd say that someone's not a serious person if they're still asserting that Bitcoin is a cult or it's a bubble like Tulip's. For example, the Tulip bubble chart looked like this. Bitcoin's chart looks like this. This suggests that something quite different is going on. And also, when people say that Bitcoin is a cult, I love this tweet from Safe. 99% of US dollar cult members have no idea what the pictures and writing on their shitcoin means, let alone understand how their shitcoin works. These same people are told to think Bitcoiners who use open source software anyone can audit are a cult. What's absolutely amazing, Bitcoin is in the process. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now, but it is happening. Bitcoin is in the process of demonetizing and destroying the two previous global reserve assets. We used to be on a gold standard. For the past 50 years, we've been on a U.S. Treasury standard. This has been the global reserve asset for central banks. And this is a chart of Bitcoin versus gold, completely demonetizing gold, and Bitcoin breaking out massively against U.S. Treasuries, which are the current global reserve asset, though they're not a very good store of value. What's more incredible, the type of money that's been used for thousands and thousands of years. Silver has just been surpassed by Bitcoin. Bitcoin now has a market cap, as we said, of about 1.4 trillion, and silver slightly less than that. So Bitcoin is marching up the charts. It's obviously going after gold at the top here. After it goes after gold, it's going to go after stock indices and go after sovereign bonds. Let's pour one out for people like Peter Zeihan, who in June of 2022 said Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. It will not be a future currency. Banks and credit unions are in the process of treating its mark-to-market value as zero, which will purge it from their balance sheets. Toss it any flavor of carbon tax, and Bitcoin goes negative. Well, it looks like Bitcoin's actually going the other direction, Peter, and that's unfortunate for you. And it's also unfortunate for anyone who listens to Peter Zeihan's geopolitical ideas, because who knows what else he's gotten wrong. Same goes for the central banks, the ECB here, talking about Bitcoin's last stand in November of 2022. It looks like Bitcoin has done quite well demonetizing the euro in the meantime. I believe there's still people out there who say that Bitcoin has no use case. My response to them would be this: no, actually, you have no use case. You're just an intellectually lazy NPC who just regurgitates whatever your fiat overlords tell you to say. If you're enjoying this video so far, I just ask you to hit the subscribe button. That really helps this channel's reach. Hit the like button, leave a comment, suggestion, topic for a future video, and share this video with a friend or a family member. Bitcoin actually has a very important use case, one of the most important use cases in the universe. It's called money. Bitcoin allows anyone in the world to store economic value and then send that value without permission to anyone else in the world. People who say Bitcoin has no use do not understand this very basic fact. Bitcoin is a lifeboat for those with weak currencies, and Bitcoin is a lifesaver for those of us who live under authoritarian regimes in third world hellholes, not like South America and Africa, but now like the US and Canada, unfortunately. Also, you don't need to trust a bank to store your Bitcoin. You can store it yourself, and no one can take it from you or tell you what to do with it. People are now talking, instead of you have the FAANG stocks, now you have the BAANG, with Bitcoin replacing Facebook. I think Alex Gladstein here had a nice tweet, though. Only one of these is a radical freedom tool that anyone in the world can access and use. If you own stocks, they're trapped in your brokerage account. They're trapped inside the legacy financial system. If you own Bitcoin, you have a lot more flexibility. Meanwhile, what is Bitcoin's closest competitor? And it's not even really a competitor, but it's supposed closest competitor in terms of market cap in the crypto space up to. Well, Ethereum wants to change the issuance curve and take its inspiration from the central bank of Japan. This is why Ethereum is not qualified to be a commodity, and this is one reason why it's highly unlikely, and people are finally waking up to this fact, it's highly unlikely that we see an ETH ETF this year, and possibly never. If it's really an unregistered security and not a digital commodity like Bitcoin, you can't really have an ETF. You can't build an ETF on it until Ethereum registers with the SEC and registers as a security. Meanwhile, ETH continues to lose market share to Bitcoin and depreciate. Many people have said over the years that Bitcoin is just a ZIRP thing, where ZIRP means zero interest rates policy. And you've heard this over the past few years, Bitcoin's going to go to zero when the Fed stops its loose monetary policy. Looks like these macro analysts were wrong about that as well. Here's Fed funds staying higher for longer, and here's the Fed's balance sheet being shrunk. These are both very tight forms of monetary policy, and yet Bitcoin here is breaking out to new all-time highs. I think one of the contributors to that is once you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, you never come back out. Bitcoin rewires your brain. There's really no going back for most of us. And I have to ask you, do you know any ex-Bitcoiners? Because I can't think of any that I know. So I think this is obviously quite bullish for the movement. What kind of movement is this anyway, that people enter and they never leave? I think one reason people never leave is because you save all the income you don't spend in Bitcoin. You wait 5 years at least, everything magically becomes a lot cheaper. Safe points out in this tweet, the longer version. Life is not supposed to have such easy shortcuts, but this only seems spectacularly easy because we've spent a century using money that's optimized for government criminals to rob you and getting gaslit into believing life just has to get more expensive and that saving is futile. You must keep working harder forever and become a part-time hedge fund manager just to keep the wealth you've already earned from work. If it wasn't for fiat larceny, everything would always be getting cheaper and saving would be an effective way to provide for your future. It isn't that Bitcoin is too good to be true. It's just that it kills fiat parasitism, and that is the world's biggest problem. Epic tweet, and I think it's a great way of celebrating Bitcoin and the purchasing power increase that we're seeing today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.